Hello there, it's nearly Halloween and in a shock move, GameHive have an update out in time for the holiday. That may sound snarky, but genuinely I'm pretty impressed with the scope of this update and the time frame it's been pushed out in. With 3.0 on the horizon, my expectations have been more than met. You've all seen the patch notes. If you haven't, sort your life out. They can be found in the texty bit for this video down. So in this video, I'll touch on them a bit, expand where I can, and close out with a bit of build advice. Cracking on! 35k cap. If you're one of the loud people sitting at cap, your prayers have been answered and you can whale your way up a few stages and start complaining again. To make this easier, Hero Ascension level 2 is here and works much like the first Ascension. You'll unlock them at about the same point, which for me was when the final 3 heroes reached around about stage 2000. This is largely dependent on your gold multipliers and whatnot though, so don't base it off what I get. You can now share your builds directly in game. It's pretty cool. We just need to add the compare function so you can see the differences if you and a friend are running similar builds. When you look at your DPS meters where it currently says pet damage, that will now change dependent on your slash type. If you use Heavenly Strike though, it's not going to help you. Hopefully that may come in future updates. 2 new equipment sets. No mythic, but a pretty solid legendary. The event set, Scarecrow Jack with a 10 times shadow clone damage. There's also some other Halloween themed equips to discover for if you really love pumpkins or whatever. The legendary set, Titan Attack. Be excited if you're an anime fan. Providing a sweet boost to fundamental damage and a very nice minus 10% off active Titan spawn time, which stacks nicely with Adrenaline Rush. There must be a mythic Relmed set in the works. A sweet gorilla with this little stabby cheese knife. Energy drink cans floating up and being discarded. Aura. Liquid spraying everywhere for the slash. Anyway, alright, my favourite bit, other than the cap increase of course, 2 new artifacts. One a very powerful new S tier. Flute of the Soloist, increases damage for each active skill. Capped at 4 active skills, think Stone of the Vel runes, but for damage, and it's amazing. And the White Dwarf, damage per owned artifact. The more artifacts you have, the more damage you do. Incentive to get those pleb tier 1s out of the salvage, because salvage 1s don't count. Both these provide a substantial increase in damage, one significantly more than the other. Pretty obvious which one. Alright, and as always, some balances and fixes. Pet Splash Skip is twice as strong for lightning burst attacks. For you weirdos with monk-like patience that play a pet build, this will make it slightly faster and is nice for Durandal pushing. Everyone else, rest easy, the build is still disgustingly slow and not worth your time. Fact. Clanship Splash Skip is twice as strong against stun titans. This sounds good, but it is incredibly slow, waiting for 2 clan shots to skip forward every time. Still, early game, when builds are limited, this may give you what you need to edge out your opponents in the tourneys. Flash Slip now requires 3 taps instead of 5 before triggering the final attack. Less taps per set means more sets. All active skills bar Heavenly Strike have a base cooldown of 20 seconds, reduced to 4 seconds with the Hourglass of Impatient artifact at max level. This is a nice quality of life thing for all the OCD amongst us, but realistically, do all your cooldowns finish at the same time? So who cares? Fairy Gold is slightly better. I still roll with my stacked Chestertons when I need gold. A little more Fairy Gold on the side is always nice. Improvements to the algorithm / tournament matchmaking system, which is of course fine. On this, expect absolute carnage for the first couple of tournaments after the patch, as it always is, especially with the introduction of a new S tier. Either back your accounts up with email or Facebook, not both. The auto salvage of equipment should get rid of your worst gear now instead of making mistakes and pawning all the mythics you never get. Active skill timers from fairies no longer clog your screen, instead they just show up on the skill buttons like usual. The welcome back panel during tournaments is no longer wrong, like any of you stop playing during a tournament anyway. When you import your progress, your character name will come with it. No more reverting to Swordmaster every time, unless that's what you named yourself for whatever reason. Avatars that were missing descriptions have descriptions. BIM. Patch notes done. In summary, significant boosts to damage, new ascends, cap increase. Get it done. Okay, on to the meta, what you want to see. No change. In order from best to worst, Shadow Clone plus Eternal Darkness is the meta, and it remains the meta. It rivals Heavenly Strike for speed while being an almost AFK build. Drop the Eternal Darkness and roll with a Shadow Clone build for the best push build, in my opinion. Heavenly Strike is still fast. It will still dump you a bit short of your MS, but it is fast. Pet! Climbing the ladder 1 patch at a time. This build remains trash despite what the cohorts try to tell me. It only climbs a place because it's better than Clanship, and the 2-time skip actually helps, particularly with Durandal pushing. I cannot for the life of me get it to rival a decent Shadow Clone build though, and it is equally as slow as the push variant. That being said, this is my project this patch, to actually give this a real go despite hating it with a passion. And finally Clanship, now with 2 times the skip. Still trash for anyone past like 12k or with any SP to spend. Prior to that, when your choices are limited, it is viable, but you may as well go pet because it really isn't that much slower and it is significantly stronger. And of course there's inactive. It is still inactive. That pretty much wraps it up. 3.0 is coming, hype yourself for that. I might even try to do some Tap Titan stuff between patches instead of just drowning myself in energy drinks. Well, as well as drowning myself in energy drinks anyway.